Hey guys, it's Ben the Coin Geek at Old Pueblo Coin, and today I have just kind of a fun video for you, educational video, where we're going to talk a little bit about just what happens when you have silver coins in different types of holders for a long period of time. What do they end up looking like, and what can we learn? So I'll try to be clear, and I'll try to be not misleading when I talk about the different types of things that we're going to see here on the coins, because there are so many different things that work when it comes to coins and coin collecting and coin grading. And one of the things that I run into somewhat frequently is you get something certified and it comes back either questionable color or artificial color, artificial toning. And so that's going to be the discoloration area here that looks kind of blue at certain angles. The other thing that you run into, and you can have them both on the same coin, is what they would call environmental damage. Some people already consider all types of toning to be environmental damage, but within the hobby perimeters, you're allowed to have toning and tarnish, but there's a certain level at which when you have these black spots, they might call it environmental damage. So, old coin collection, stuff that's been in the old manila envelopes for a long time. This old 78cc has a lot of little blue hues mixed into it, and then you have a lot of little spots on the other side. Actually, some of my favorite things, of course, is these old little bank folders that they'd give out for savings accounts. Make savings a family affair. Very cool stuff. And there's a couple things I want to point out in here. One of the things is that just because a coin is old, it doesn't mean that it's not clean. And so what I mean by that is a lot of these coins have some wear to them. Now I'm not going to be able to get these out because I'm wearing gloves for the first time in forever here. So on these coins here, let's see kind of how the cardboard toned them. What's interesting about these is the place where the cardboard was is like protected, and the area that was exposed to the air has a very different look to it. So you see that line basically where that was, and then the backside was basically all against the cardboard. So we've got this imaginary line or real line here where the toning appears. This coin, so it's kind of hard to tell sometimes, but this coin, I believe pretty much all the coins in this album somebody had kind of polished a little bit before they put them in there. So they tone back over again, but what you see is that real brightness, real shininess for a coin that is not uncirculated or almost uncirculated. It just has a lot of wear to it, so it shouldn't really be too shiny. It's also harder to hold coins with gloves, by the way. Just as a side note here. So you'll see some of the similar color palettes on this as you saw on the other cardboard holder. And so not that many people are going to get these types of albums and put together collections. There you go. Urbana, Illinois. That'd be Urbana probably, but when you're from Tucson, you say Urbana. Urbana? Right. So this one has environmental damage on the holder. That's all mold, and luckily this isn't smell-o-vision. Even if the content stinks, you can't smell this. I'm not going to try to take these out. I'm going to limit my exposure right now. This holder, unfortunately, has a lot of stuff on it that I don't need to be breathing at the moment. So what I do have, though, is some of these old Whitman albums with some Morgans in them, Morgans and peace dollars. And what's interesting is they're all together for a long time, and so you're going to see a lot of the same color patterns that you saw on the first coin, that 78cc. But there's a few observations I have to make about this group of stuff here, and some of them will send in. So like, what's cool is like this O2 is definitely a nice uncirculated coin. I haven't looked too close at it to see kind of what I think it might grade. So it toned a lot of blue on this side. Unfortunately, a lot of times this doesn't necessarily get the best eye appeal on a coin. This type of toning. I think, the side that was exposed to the air ended up with the nice toning. Think back to that mercury dime I was showing you in the one album. The side against the cardboard oftentimes has a whole nother result. So it's the oxygen really helps give it some pizzazz, little coin dopamine, if you will. And so we saw that 010 over here also that had that real mottled look on both sides. Not an attractive tone, and some heavier spots over here on this side that would definitely lend itself to being called environmental damage. So you have these coins that have been sitting together for a long time, and yet this is just like parenting, right? Like you parent your kids the same way, and one of them might turn out one way, one might turn out the other. So some of the other observations, I got a couple more albums to show you. Oh man, where'd all these albums come from? So one of the things that I've been looking at when I was looking at this album is the uncirculated coins tend to tone a certain way. The circulated coins that are just kind of a little bit more dull looking, don't really have any toning to them. Usually the toning happens on luster. But what I will say is the coins that are like too bright, if that makes sense, that are circulated, so like this 86.0 for example looks a little bright. That coin itself has some tone to it, even though it looks like it's maybe just a lower VF or something. I think sometimes, and so you compare that to this 88.0 and 88 Philly, nice original looking coins. I think that when you clean a coin like this 88S here, I think when they've been cleaned, sometimes it opens it up to some of the toning. That's all spitballing. Like that is just observations. As I was looking at this album, I was like, okay, why are two coins next to each other, one toned and one not? How does grade play a factor? So it's hard to know exactly what's affecting what, right? Got a couple more to show you because I do have some piece dollars. Got one more Morgan set and then some piece dollars, and then we'll wrap it up here. Once again, just talking about toning. I'll send a couple of these in for sure to see if we can get artificial toning. So like the 78.8 tail feather. This is a type of coin that is super reflective, like lots of 78s are. Has some firework toning to it, but it's really spotty. This is the type of coin that when PCGS TrueView gets on it, it's going to look stunning. And even though it's probably got a little bit of stuff there on the cheek, it's probably just a slider, like an AU58 kind of coin. This side looks really pretty in person and on film. This side, only up close and at certain angles does it really pop, but I'm going to predict they call this one artificial toning or questionable toning, partially because you see the kind of that spotted pattern to it. It doesn't bother me as much when you see the spots and the spots are the white areas. It's when the spots are the dark areas. I think sometimes when you see some of the chemical reactions that people are doing to make coins tone over. And then that 79 that was sitting right here, 79 Philly. So this one's interesting because it's, once again, you've really got to people prefer target toning generally to, this type of mixed blend model toning to it. This side of the coin I really like. Again, once again, you've got the side that was exposed to the air that came up with a little bit more of a circular pattern than the side that was stuck on the cardboard, which ended up with all the mottled pattern on it. Let's see what else we got here. I got to show you those piece dollars in just a minute, but I was just trying to look and see some examples again of some of these coins that look like they're too bright. See, like these two next to each other, the 81.0 and 81S here, where this coin looks like the coin on the right looks like maybe it was cleaned versus the coin on the left, and the coin on the right is the one that's toned. So just kind of interesting, the 81 Philly. Let's take a look at the other side of that guy, see what he's got going on there, because it's got a nice reverse. But you know, they all have nice reverses, don't they? And the obverse, once again, just so-so. Probably not even a coin to get certified. 81 Phillies, tough and high grade. The obverse has a lot of stuff going on there. The reverse is gorgeous. So, you know, the air exposure actually gets you, once again, a little bit of a circular tone to it and a pretty tone. This coin has a lot of hits to the face anyway, but still, that cardboard toning didn't really do it any favors. Last but not least, I do have some piece dollars to show you. Take a look at what piece dollars do. I don't know, we might find something in here that toned over. So it's harder because piece dollars you don't see toned as much. I'm a lot more likely to see San Francisco, by the way, for what it's worth. The San Francisco coins get some tone to them than some of the other dates. And for those of you who actually collect some of this stuff by date and mint mark combination, you know which coins. Sometimes it's just a specific year that doesn't tone well. So crispy edges from being in the Whitman album. Once again, just some observations about old coins and where they've been. Does have a little bit of haze to it, you know, in a way that someone might call environmental damage. In fact, if it's too heavy, if it really gets to look like, you know, PVC or something like that, it definitely will have to come off. And then the obverse also has a similar look to it on this one. But like I said, piece dollars don't tone quite the same way. And then so here's that 23S that had a little bit of tone to it. And there's a lot of this mottled toning on the other side. So this to me, for piece dollars, is almost kind of a fun looking coin just because you don't see them toned over that often with all the different colors and hues. This coin is not uncirculated. You know, I'd call it an AU, almost uncirculated coin, but probably just a lower AU, like a 53 or something like that. There's your mint mark. Got the S down here. Kind of a cool coin. Maybe I'll send that one in anyway just because. And let's look at what happened the rest of the time here on these coins, because you've got some pretty bad results as far as the type of toning that ended up happening. You know, you've got some stuff that's really some heavy stuff that would have to come off. And meanwhile, we've got this 25, which is actually brilliant as far as the overall luster goes for a piece dollar. Maybe I'll pop that out in a second, but who knows what the grade's going to look like. One of the things that's funny, interesting to me, once again, here's some heavy environmental damage on this guy, right, is these old Whitman holders. You'll have the coins and they'll have the words on them. So you'll see the word silver going backwards here. And then that's the COLL for collection, because that's the SIL and the COLL. That's where that's from. So as this paper lays on top of that, it actually leaves some of those marks. All right, I'm going to pull out actually that 34 that had the heavy damage on it. Let's see what the other side looked like. So that was the one with the heavy stuff on one side. Other side not so much, but also a coin that's been at some time cleaned in the past. Like I like to point out, you know, a coin has been cleaned. It could have been cleaned decades ago before you ever saw it. And then last but not least, this is you know, the 25. This is actually the what would I call this? The quintessential look I want on a piece dollar, but it's only one side of the coin. That of course will be the problem. As it's been exposed, I'm okay with this side. It still has a lot of vibrancy to it. The difficulty is that it's not as attractive as I want. I wanted both sides to look like that, And for me, this is a coin that I would not want to change the originality on. Now, and by that I mean do any type of conservation. But for some people, because of just how brilliant the coin is underneath, they would definitely go ahead and get it conserved and try to remove all those spots and get it to look, I guess original would be the term. So a few of these will end up going out for grading, and we'll see whether or not they call them environmental damage or artificial toning or anything along those lines. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching. I've been the Coin Geek. You can subscribe by clicking on the owl button in the corner and watch more videos on the right side of the screen. Thanks.